Well, thanks for watching. This is part 4 of the Assemble a Drill-Powered Wooden Scroll Saw. This should be the last one. We're going to deal with putting the working plate on. It's got an ability to slant to 45 degrees, which makes it a little bit complicated, but not terribly. So let's get this one started. Now the next thing this saw needs is a working plate. And the real need for that plate is to resist the sawing action so that you can get a good clean cut without having the work that you're sawing actually go up and down with the blade. And this is the one that Izzy designed, and this is roughly 24 inches front to back, and it is, I believe, 12 inches across. The dimension from here to here is 10 inches, and you can see what the shape of that is. It goes back to roughly 4 inches at the back, and quite honestly you can make those any dimension you really want to, but this makes a pretty handy one. The back of this will be held in place by an appliance looking like that that attaches to our upper support, and it'll have a bolt going into the exact center back here, and that way, with the bolt coming here, it will be able to gimbal on the trunnions that we put in the front. Now the placement of this is all built on exactly where this spot is, which is top center. This is as high as the lower arm is going to get, and that is 9 inches. And the way we're going to design this is, roughly the bottom of the plate is going to miss that by 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and that's up to you. But the greater you make that distance, the lesser you will have for space here. But generally speaking, you're going to have plenty of space, because this is not the kind of saw that you resaw thick stock. You're generally going to be doing relatively thin stock, so you'll have plenty of space to work. But you also have to consider that the throw is going to be 2.5 inches, or 2.25 inches. So you don't want the plate to be up here and then bottoming out there, and you don't want to be down here and having this bottom out on the top side. So that plate is worth having. Do not worry about the location of that. You can certainly locate that easily enough once we've actually figured out where this is going to be positioned. Okay, here's a drawing for the front trunnion and support, and there's going to be an almost identical shape to what you see here, and I'll move it over. This is simply a trunnion stabilizer that the base of this gets screwed and glued to. Now the major dimensions here, this is 9 inches across, or 23 centimeters, and it's 10 from the base on up to the top of the blank. And the things that you should need to lay out immediately are on the center line, which is 4.5 inches from the side, or 10.7 centimeters. You're going to be drawing compass circles for the trunnion ring. And that first one is 4.25 inches, or 10.7 centimeters. And the second circle is 3.75, or 6.8 centimeters. And you're going to be keeping this piece right here. That's going to be cut away, that's going to be cut away, and that's going to be cut away. And this piece is the support piece. And the trunnion ring is going to be bolted to the bottom of the working plate, and its action is going to be like this, so that you can get up to a 45-degree angle for whatever product you're cutting, and then rotate it back. So these pieces need to be cut accurately the first time, because they're all going to be working in concert. So, as I say, you get all of this drawn up. This is a 45-degree angle from the center line. And make sure this is all drawn out very nicely for yourself, because the first cut on this piece of wood, and this is 3/4 inch plywood still, you're going to want to take that cut first, and then that cut would be a nice one to take, and you have to save that piece. And eventually you'd want to cut off about 12 millimeters or 1/2 inch straight across there, just to give yourself some extra working room underneath the working plate. Then you're going to cut the larger diameter for the trunnion plate, and again, I warn you, you have to be accurate with this the first time. You want those to match up again when you go to put it together. You can't do a whole lot of sanding with it to make it nice. And then you want to cut that piece off, and then that piece off, and then pretty much you've got all of your working parts for the trunnion that's going to allow the plate to do a 45-degree shift. This is a much simpler one in that it's 9 inches in its base, 10 inches again, or 25.4 centimeters tall, and the only thing you need to do with this is from the center line make a 45-degree cut down there, and then this will be glued and screwed from the bottom, and then the trunnion support is going to eventually be glued and screwed to that. So those pieces are pretty important to draw out pretty accurately, and you want to put them together properly. Okay, here's what it looks like when the pieces are cut apart. This is scrap. This is the trunnion ring that's going to be connected to the underside of the working plate. This is going to be immobile. This is going to be immobile, simply to guide the movement of the trunnion ring to 45 degrees or back. This is the piece that's going to hold the working plate in the back. It's got a single 5/16 bolt that goes through the back, and the back of the working plate is threaded to accept that bolt, and the whole thing fits on the stand holding the arms right there. So you fit this to go in there perfectly, and once we figure out what the front end is going to look like, we'll adjust this, and then we'll drive a couple of screws in there, and it will hold it very securely in place. And once again, this is the back end of the working plate, and you can see that it's just got another piece of 3/4 inch plywood bolted and glued onto the bottom of the plate, and that's a 5/16 threaded hole right there, and it will in fact perfectly well accept the 5/16 bolt that goes through the holding fixture. This is beginning the process of assembling the support pieces for the working plate. And you can see what I've done here is just position this, which is the support, first support, And then I've pre-drilled for countersinks and set a couple of screws in there to hold it in place. So that's our first step on that. And the next step is going to be the placement of the trunnion support. And this is going to have a series of probably 4 screws here and then 3 screws down at the bottom, so that this is very, very strongly in place. And now you can see this is pretty firmly in place. We have all of the screws countersunk from the bottom and 4 screws in front, so that now we have a very large base holding this in place. So the next thing you can take a look at is where this is going to happen. This piece is just going to be a placement piece. It's going to make sure that that trunnion ring, when we position it quite properly, give it a little space, can in fact rotate, but it's not going to really allow the working plate to go up. So the next thing we're going to do is position the working plate on top here and position where we're going to draw screw down through the top plate to hold that trunnion ring. Okay, I've gotten the plate squared up to where I want it to be using my big framer square. So that's centered nicely. I've got a clamp on the trunnion ring. And now it's a case of just finding where that trunnion ring is centered, looking at it from the side, and putting a center mark at both sides. And it is in fact different from previously, since I did make up a new system here. So I'm going to have to draw some new. In fact, what I'm only going to put 1 screw into each piece of the trunnion, because previously when I did that, I just split the bottom, so I don't want to do that this time. So I'm lined up now, and I'll be packing that down with screws. Now at this point, I've still got the attachment fixture for the back of the plate held in place with a clamp. I want to be able to easily take this off, because at this point it's a really good idea to mark where your saw hole is going to go through the top plate. And I think that's easy enough to do if you just get a pencil and put it up and mark the bottom side and pretty much position it in the way that you think it's going to be moving up and down, and center that, and then pull everything off, turn it over, and drill a hole that's appropriate. Okay, we're all solid in the back now. That's screwed in place. I've put this retaining piece in here, so now we can go through the whole angle. But really the last piece that we have to worry about is how are we going to hold this in place if you want an angle, or principally how do you hold it while it's straight up and down. And this is the locking mechanism. It's got a couple pieces, and let me show you what this looks like. This is going to be the anchor, and it's going to screw in just like that. And this is a thread. This is a 5/16 bolt, just going through a round plug, and it's secured in place. Got a lock washer there, and this is not supposed to turn. You could probably epoxy that in place as well. And as I say, it's just threaded into that wood. So what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to put this in place, and then we'll be just about ready to watch this work. And there it is in place. Nice and solid. Just undo it, put it back down. Now, I failed to mention prior to putting the lock mechanism on is that all of the mating pieces, before I put this all together, I put a good coat of paste wax so that there wouldn't be any binding. So I'm going to put the saw blade on there and saw some wood. Okay, that's the front end is done, but the back end is very important. We've got the spring working for us, but we have to put some tension on this now, and that's what these eye bolts are for. And I keep them in line just with stiff wire. Which in fact in this country is just a piece of coat hanger. I use coat hanger a lot because it's a nice stiff wire to use. And just listen to that, and eventually you'll find a tension that works well for you. So you'll have to figure out some sort of a support mechanism for your own drill and how you want to use it. I have a little bit of a plate here that I use. I just use this little bitty clamp across the trigger, and that way I can set up whatever speed is working well for me. So there you've got the whole thing in 4 parts. Now you can put together an Izzy Swan design scroll saw. A lot of it I've left up to you to actually make the drawings, but I've given you a whole lot of measurements so that you can pretty much reproduce this, or you can make it your own size and style. But you know all the pieces? Good luck doing it. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you like it, and I hope you share it. Come on back. I'm Tom Stevens.